In the past year, in 2009, the largest contingents were from Burma, highland groups, actually not Burmese, from Nepal, Bhutanese refugees, and from Iraq. But the better answer over a longer period of time is probably that refugees come from pretty much everywhere. If you put together the figures over the past 25 years of just of countries which have had at least 10,000 refugees coming to the United States, it's a pretty lengthy one. Let me give it to you. Afghans, Bhutanese, Burmese, Cambodians, Cubans, Ethiopians, Haitians, Hmong, Iranians, Iraqi, Lao, Liberians, Poles, Romanians, Somalis, Sudanese, Vietnamese, and a variety of people from the former Soviet Union, Russians and Ukrainians, and from the former Yugoslavia, Bosnians. That's a pretty extensive list, and there are smaller groups as well. Furthermore, the diversity within diversity of each of these countries is often significant. Those coming from Iran some are Muslim indeed, but many are Christians, many are Baha'i, many are Jews. Those coming from the Soviet Union are both Jews and Pentecostal Christians. So the diversity within the diversity is also impressive. I would actually say that there are two problems. One is that because refugees come from so many different countries and from so many different subgroups within those countries, the cultural diversity is truly extraordinary. Furthermore, many of those people are actually quite different from people in the United States. They're not like most of our immigrants, people who already have some experience with American society. And in fact, the majority of new immigrants to the United States already have family in the United States, so they're already linked to us by kin links. Refugees are very different. So there's a great potential for cross-cultural problems in cross-cultural communication, and there's extraordinary difficulty in designing effective social programs because the kind of program that would work for one group is not necessarily going to work for another. But there's another difficulty that refugees face, which is because they're refugees. Refugees may come to the United States, they achieve safe haven, but they are not separated from the past. The scars, both metaphoric and real, that they carry with them are a constant reminder. They're linked to people in the home country who can't get out, is a terrible strain on them. So the past really isn't going away. Furthermore, since they aren't really as well prepared for life in the United States as most immigrants, the new future, tends to be a little bit slow to arrive. So the past isn't going away, and the future isn't arriving, or at least it's not arriving very quickly. This is a problem between refugees and their American hosts, because the Americans, even those most supportive of refugees, are very anxious that refugees move on, that they get on with their new lives. And refugees are stuck a little bit in between the past and the future, midway to nowhere, in Egon Kunz's famous phrase. So that's another potential area in which the communication between Americans and refugees is not always going to be good. Americans may feel that refugees are not hearing their message about getting on with their new lives. Refugees may feel that Americans are not hearing the way that their past continues to affect their current lives. Overall, it's impossible to give a simple single answer to how refugees are doing in the United States. Some refugees do very well, some refugees do very poorly. Because they're not prepared for life in the United States and because of the after effects of their refugee experience, even surviving in the new land may be more difficult. So the one thing I really urge people to remember is that if all refugees were doing really, really well in the United States, then we might be concerned that we're giving refuge to those who are best able to adapt to the United States rather than to those who are most in need. The biggest lesson is certainly that refugees are a reminder to us that America is now and has always been both a land of opportunity and a land of refuge. We need to keep a better balance between those two parts of what America is at its very core. We are important for refugees, but refugees are very important for us. And they serve as witnesses not only to some of the most brutal events of modern history, but they also serve as exceptionally clear-eyed witnesses to what America is now, both its good parts and its bad parts, both what it is and what it can be in the future. When refugees come to the United States and they talk about freedom in America, they know what they're talking about. So I think we need to value that. Refugees do us a great service by reminding us of what we can be.